What's going on, everyone? It's Alex from Right Gaming, and today we're going to take a look at the controversy surrounding the Lovecraftian detective game The Sinking City. And as always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to stay in the loop about all the interesting gaming news and help the channel grow. Now let's begin. So first of all, if you're not familiar, let's establish the participants in this controversy. All of this is going to be important as we continue. The Sinking City is a third-person detective game in the style of Lovecraftian horror. It was released back in June 2019 to a mixed reception, both amongst critics and players, but it is universally considered that it was a good attempt and one of the better Lovecraftian-styled games of recent years. The game was developed by Frogwares, a Ukrainian studio from Kiev that is best known for all these Sherlock Holmes quest games, while the publisher was the French company Nacon, formerly known as Big Ben Interactive. Coming to the situation we are talking about today, the developer Frogwares used DMCA to request and remove their own game from Steam. Many people were actually eagerly awaiting the game and the opportunity to play the improved edition. But due to this DMCA strike, not everyone managed to get it. But why? I hear you asking wherever it is you are right now. Well, there is an entire story behind it that is both hilarious and sad at the same time. It involves a legal dispute between Frogwares and Necon over development fees, copyright royalty, and actual theft and hacking, which goes as far as August of last year. So I will be quick about it, but the takeaway is that the game is currently not available on Steam, and hell knows when it will be available there. So if you want to play it on PC, you can try your luck on some other gaming website selling the game directly from Frogwares. On August 25th, the developer of The Sinking City, Frogwares, published an open letter to the public where they disclose the reasons and information related to their legal battles with the publisher Necon. They explain that during the development, they signed a licensing agreement with Necon, called Big Ben Interactive back then, to help finance the production of the game. In exchange for financial support, Necon would receive the right to commercialize the game on 4 platforms: Xbox One, PS4, Steam, and later Epic Games Store. This is important to know since the game was recently upgraded for the PS5, and Frogwares were listed as both the creators and the publishers of the game. But Frogwares would still remain the owner of the IP and entitled, of course, to a share of the sales. The financial contribution of Necon would be provided in installments at each critical development milestone. Then they go on to explain how Necon began acting towards the studio and eventually committed several breaches of the contract, leading to its termination. The publisher would withhold funds and be hundreds of days behind on each payment despite the development being completed in time. In addition, when Necon acquired Cyanide, a French studio that would be working on another Lovecraftian game called Call of Cthulhu, they allegedly demanded from Frogwares to hand over the source code for The Sinking City. When Frogwares refused the unreasonable demand, since Necon had no rights to the source code, they reportedly did not receive payment for over 4 months. And after the release of the game, Necon told Frogwares to essentially go fuck themselves because they were cancelling previously approved milestones, which in turn meant that Frogwares would not receive any share of the sales. Necon went on to try and claim ownership of the IP by removing Frogwares' logo from Xbox One and PS4 game covers and other marketing materials. They even created a tabletop RPG of The Sinking City without even notifying Frogwares. And they also began buying domain names related to The Sinking City and Frogwares' previous Sherlock Holmes games. Though, of course, the main reason of the lawsuit against Necon and the termination of the licensing agreement is the withheld royalty payments, which Frogwares claims to have already reached around 1 million euros. Even though the contract was officially terminated, the publisher continued to receive money from sales of the game, so Frogwares had to withdraw The Sinking City from big platforms like Steam and distribute it through a handful of websites that work directly with the developer and on their own website. Then a long back and forth ensued between the companies in the French court. First, Necon tried to contest the termination of the contract in court but was rejected. Then, on October 28th, the Paris Court of Appeal ruled in favor of the French publisher, stating that removing the game from stores was too excessive and that Frogwares, quote-unquote, had terminated the contract in a manifestly unlawful manner. Thus, they are to continue the contract with Necon until the court has confirmed that Necon were in fact in breach of the contract, all while refraining from actions that would further affect the contract. Now, on February 26th this year, Frogwares released the following tweet. Frogwares has not released the version of the Sinking City that is today on sale on Steam. We do not recommend the purchase of this version, more news soon. And instantly the battle between the developer and the publisher resurfaced, as Nacon then released a statement on the Sinking City's Steam news feed, allegedly disclosing the amount of money that they have invested in the game. Since the game was withdrawn from Steam, the page with the statement is not available as I'm writing this, so I have to rely only on the Gameindustry.biz article where I read this. The same day, Frogwares released a blog post on their website and a video on YouTube about quote-unquote how Necon cracked and pirated the Sinking City. I recommend you watch it later too to get a good picture of the situation and how it looked. But in short, the programmers from Frogwares led their own investigation and presented proof of Nacon's blatant attempt at distributing a Steam version of the game, despite Frogwares refusing to continue working on it, which means there are no achievements or cloud saving. The video demonstrates that the game's version that was sold on Steam is an altered version of the Sinking City that is officially sold on a video game website called Games Planet. They discovered that the Games Planet logo was removed from the startup screen and replaced with Necon, while the Frogwares intro is partially skipped, while in the main menu several features and elements are missing, having been cut out because they require internet connection to check what version of the game is being used to prevent pirated versions. All of this is possible only if Necon had decompiled or hacked the game files using a secret key that was created by and available only to Frogwares as part of an Unreal Engine encryption system. What's also ridiculous is that apparently this is not simply the base game, but the deluxe edition, which means it contains certain content that Frogwares developed after the original release of the game, which they obviously did not discuss with Necon. And so, it also means that the publisher is stealing additional content that was not discussed in the contract and was not paid for. In addition to all of that, there were also some smaller, more intricate changes related to the file size and alterations made to the original config file, which you can look up in the original video. In the end, we have Frogwares requesting a DMCA and succeeding in removing the allegedly pirated and altered version of the Sinking City from Steam once again, despite the Paris Court of Appeal prohibiting them from taking any action that might affect the agreement with Necon, while Necon are trying to protect themselves by claiming that they followed the contract, financed the development and marketing of the game, and Frogwares are quote-unquote sabotaging their investments. To me, this entire story seems so absolutely ridiculous and impossible that I do have my doubts about the minor details of the case. But in recent years, with so many publishers being exposed for horrendous ethics, I ultimately stand on Frogwares' side, with all the proof that they have provided in their blog posts and videos. If true, such behavior on the side of publishers should not be disregarded and should be punished by law. And there you have it! I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to share your opinions about this entire mess down in the comments. Thank you for watching, this was Alex, and I'll see you next time.